Hey guys, do you want to know the 7 luxury handbags that I sold in 2025 and find out why? Stick around and find out. Hey guys, it's Mandy. Welcome back to my channel, Just One More Bag 01, where luxury meets lifestyle. If you are obsessed with designer handbags, love luxury items, enjoy traveling, or just want to get a glimpse of Winston, you are in the right place. Each week I put out videos on Wednesday and Saturday, and I talk about what's going on in the handbag community. I share my personal collection, I do what fits in my bag, I talk about new releases, and all kinds of fun things like that. If that's something that interests you, I ask you to please consider subscribing to my channel to join our growing community of handbag lovers. All right, guys, today's topic is a fun one. It's going to be discussing the 7 luxury handbags that I sold in 2025 and why I sold each bag. I hope that by going over this, it kind of helps you guys. If you were thinking of purchasing any of these bags, or reasons that you may not want to purchase the bag, or things for you to consider if it was something that was possibly on your wish list. And I do first just have to say, I have been using my new Louis Vuitton Murakami Magenta, and I am loving it. So excited that I did get this piece and that I decided to keep this one because I'm really getting a lot of use out of it. So also thank you to everyone who gave me suggestions for the inserts. I did get some from Cloth and Paper. I'm also buying some stuff off of Etsy. So again, thank you so much to everybody. So let's get right into it. So as I mentioned, in 2025, I sold 7 of my luxury handbags. 6 of the bags were from Louis Vuitton and 1 is YSL. So I'm thinking, since YSL is kind of the outlier and the one only bag from that brand, let's just start there. So the bag that I sold from YSL, I had for a couple years. It is the Mini Lou camera bag. And I really liked the look of this bag. It was almost like an iridescent shine to the leather. I liked the stitching of the bag. I liked that it had silver hardware. It was pretty cool because the zipper had a little tassel. I know maybe some people don't care for that, but I did. And you know, I had it for a while. So this year I really looked at my luxury handbag collection and I wanted to kind of pare it down a little bit and have it more for bags that I was really using. Also, some of you may recall I had lost or have lost 150 pounds from VSG surgery. And I had skin removal surgery in the beginning of 2025. And I wanted to sell some of my bags, partly to put towards the cost of the surgery. I just felt kind of bad, you know, doing something for myself and, you know, taking money that was mine and my husband's, you know, because it was just doing something for me only. And it just made me kind of feel better about it, you know, that if I sold a couple bags to put towards that and just, you know, have on hand. That was just like kind of one of my ways of contributing to it more instead of, you know, just all our money going in. I just felt a little guilty about it, quite frankly. And there was bags that I just wasn't, you know, using as much. So the YSL bag popped up for a couple reasons. That bag was a crossbody bag only. And I would have liked it to have an option for a shoulder strap. And the bag, it was just so long with that crossbody strap that, like, if I would go out to dinner and I would want to set it on the table or next to me, the chain would just kind of be all over. And it just annoyed me a little bit. The second and main reason I got rid of the bag is because it started to have an odor to it due to the glue or something that they used with the bag. I had actually taken it into YSL and they were like, oh yeah, they couldn't really do anything about it, unfortunately, so I was disappointed. They said because I had purchased that bag at Nordstrom's that I would have to take it back there And, you know, truly, I just didn't feel like dealing with it. So I knew somebody who was interested in it. She wasn't concerned about the smell, and we agreed upon a price, and she bought the bag for me. So that was the first bag that I sold. The second bag I sold was the Louis Vuitton Tilsitt bag. So I will have pictures of all these bags up on screen so you can see them. I did like this bag. It was a small bag. It was a very structured bag. So my husband and I bought this in Paris for my birthday 2 years ago. It was 2024. And my husband actually picked this bag out, and I thought it was cute. And I used it a couple times, but unfortunately, I didn't have enough room in the bag. And I think it was more due to the structure and the layout of the bag for me that didn't work with like my wallets, because I have definitely gravitated towards smaller bags. There was a lot of restrictions for this bag due to the very strict form of the bag, and there was no give on this bag. So that was really why I wanted to sell it. Also, I just didn't care. It was more of like a carry on your arm type of bag. I wanted some more options, I felt, with it. It just wasn't versatile enough for me. I thought it was a very beautiful bag, and actually one of the ladies at the nail salon that I go to wanted to buy it. She offered me a great price, and you know, it just made sense. Sometimes if somebody wants something that you have, you know, you just have to really think about it and go with it. You know, it's a great deal for her, because for me, I probably used that bag maybe 5-ish times at the absolute most. So it was pretty much brand new. There was absolutely nothing wrong with it. So that was the next bag. The other bag that I sold that I had to kind of come to terms with was my OnTheGo bag. So I originally had an OnTheGo GM, and it was in the reverse monogram. And unfortunately, I noticed that the bag started to have some warping on it and bubbling of the material. And it also started to smell. I took it into Louis Vuitton because I was like, what the heck, did something happen when I was storing it? You know, so I wanted to see if it could go to the repair facility and there was anything they could do. So they actually ended up saying like, no, it's a quality issue. And I had the choice of buying the same exact bag as a replacement, or they would give me a credit. So I opted for the credit, and I then purchased the size, which was a little bit smaller, and the leather bag, thinking that that would hold up better and I wouldn't have to worry about the issues that I had with the canvas reverse monogram. But what I realized is that the was just a little bit too small for me. I originally went down a little bit in size because the GM was just so big. You know, you guys probably know I'm 5'2". I'm more of a petite frame, and the bag was just kind of big. I was using it to transport things back and forth to work primarily. It was great for that, but the bag was a beast and it was kind of heavy. Getting the OnTheGo in the leather was really just as heavy, if not heavier, and it was a little bit more restricting for my laptop, and it did not have a zipper. I need a zipper. That's one thing I learned about myself. You know, I really prefer having the zippers overall, so I decided to let that bag go this year. This next bag I'm almost afraid to tell you guys about because so many people love this bag. And the next bag that I let go of was my Alma BB bag. So I had this in the monogram print. My husband and I bought this when we were in Dubai, and I had thought about getting an Alma. And then when we were in Dubai, like everybody there had one, and I was like, oh my God, it's so cute. I really like it. So I decided to buy one. And this was also in March of 2024. And I realized as I started to use it that I did not care for the zippers on that bag. So the zippers on the bag, you go all the way down to the side. And when you do that, what I was putting in the bag was kind of falling out. And that would drive me nuts. I didn't like it. But what I now realize is that I think if I had a bag organizer that would kind of go up above where the sides of the zippers go down to and had a little bit more structure holding my items in the bag, I think it would have worked for me, because I really liked it that you had the top handle of the bag, that you could put it on your arm and wear it. I liked that it had the crossbody strap. It sat very nicely on me, and I did like the look of the bag. You know, I liked it so much that I had one on order this year for the ski collection in the mirror print, and I would have gotten that bag, but honestly, I just got so sick of waiting, I canceled that order, and I'd already had the Eva, so that made that decision just a little bit easier for me. But that was the Alma BB and why I had let it go. Again, looking back, I think that if I would have gotten an organizer, it would have worked a little bit better for me. But I'm curious to hear what you guys think about the Alma BB. Do you love it? Do you have some of those issues? Do you use an organizer, and does that make it better for you? Because now, of course, I'm thinking, should I get another Alma BB? So let me know what you guys think about that one. Another bag that I decided to let go was the Pochette Félicie bag. And I had this in the black emprunte leather, and I thought it was absolutely beautiful. My husband bought that for me for Christmas quite some time ago, maybe 2018, 19, 20. I apologize, I can't recall exactly when. And I would use that bag. So why I decided to let it go is when I was looking at the bag, if I would look at it, and I would look at the front and the top corners of the bag on the front, I felt like it was a little bit thin in the material, or it had been thinning out. And I was kind of worried about how that would hold up over time. Also, I wish that that bag had a shoulder strap. It is only the long crossbody. And I know that you can take the chain and cross it and make it more of a shoulder bag, but I just wanted more of a designated shoulder. And I was like, you know, I've had this bag for a while. You know, I can always buy something else. I could get it in a different print or color if I want to. So one of the ladies at the nail salon I go to again, her sister was actually really interested in that bag, gave me a good price, and you know, it worked out for both of us. So I would tell you, if you are looking at that bag on the secondhand market, to definitely kind of check on the front of the bag there and see if any of the material does look a little thin. I don't know if maybe that's just something that happened to me. I was not using the bag excessively. I was not packing the bag out, you know, anything that would make it kind of come apart. And I do want to be very clear, there wasn't any holes, nothing, none of the threads were popping or anything like that. It was just kind of a little bit of a fear that I had that I just didn't want to deal with. And I know myself, if something would have happened to it, I would have been so freaking angry. And I just thought, you know, just let it go and move on. There's so many bags out there. You're always going to love another bag, but I do kind of miss that one a little bit. Another bag that I let go of. This was the Neverfull Spring in the City collection 2023 in the khaki. So you guys are all very well aware that one of my unicorn bags is from that collection, and it is the Midnight Fuchsia bag. And my husband had taken me all over trying to find it. I could not get it. And one of the stores we went to had it in this khaki color. And I did like it, but if I'm being honest, I settled for that bag because I couldn't get the one that I really wanted, and I thought that it was pretty. And it just really didn't go with my wardrobe. And I love that bag. I think it looks so pretty. You know, I had worn it. I didn't wear it a lot because for me, I just was having problems styling it and fitting it into my wardrobe. I regret it a little bit now because I've started to buy more lighter colors and introduce them into my wardrobe, and I could probably style it a lot better. But that was really the main reason I let that bag go. I just wasn't reaching for it because it wasn't something that I was really styling with my clothing. And you know, I thought it doesn't make sense to let it sit around. So I let that one go, but that is something I wish that I still had. The final bag that I let go of, I added to this list. It's not a handbag. It was my Keepall 45. It was in the black leather and it had the large monogram. And I bought this bag in Cannes, France when I was there in 2024. I said that, you know, I really wanted to have a Keepall in the leather. And, you know, I just feel that it would hold up better than the canvas material long term. But when I got it, I mean, I used the bag, but it was just a little bit too small. I decided, you know, I really need a 50. The 45 was like just kind of fitting things in there for me. And I decided to let that bag go. The other reason I decided to let it go is because this year I ended up buying another Keepall 45 in the monogram. And I also bought my Keepall 50 here in the beautiful scribble print. And, you know, my husband has his own Keepall in the 50. So, you know, the reality was, all right, Mandy, you don't need two 45s and a 50 and then your husband having a 50. So when I looked at my collection, I'm like, you know, the 45 just isn't really my favorite size. So it makes sense for me to have a 45 and a 50, and what one do I want? So I kept the canvas in the beautiful gradient rainbow design, and of course this one, my baby, that I love to death. So that's all the bags that I sold. So let's talk about, do I regret any? The Tilsitt, I do not regret. I think that that bag now lives with someone who is extremely happy with it. The way that bag was structured just did not work for me and the items that I have to carry. The OnTheGo MM, I learned that that bag is just not for me. I love that bag. I see it come out in so many prints and I think it looks really cool, but for me, it just doesn't work. So I'm okay with that, and I learned that. The Alma BB, I'm a little bit on the fence. Like I said, I think I could love the bag. So I want to try it out again. I want to try it with an organizer, but I'm really looking for your guys' feedback. I want to know what you think when you're zipping it down on the sides. Are your things falling out? Does the organizer help? I would love to hear your feedback on that. The Pochette Félicie. I don't regret letting that one go. I think letting it go was the right decision for me. I think that, you know, with me finding the Pochette Lives, I ended up buying 2 of those. Now having the Eva, which I absolutely love. I think to have a small bag, that those are much better suited for me. I don't think that the Pochette Félicie is a bad bag at all though. And I think if you were looking at more wallet on chain style bag, that still is definitely something you should consider. The Neverfull Spring in the City, you know, again, that one wasn't necessarily the bag, it was more the coloring of the bag. I do regret it, but more so just because I like it. But I know, if I'm being honest with myself, if I had that bag, it'd be more of a piece of art sitting on my shelf. So I know in my heart letting it go was the right decision. The Keepall 45, do I regret selling that? No, I don't, because I have the Keepall 45 in the gradient ombre and I do like that better. And then I also have my Keepall 50. So I'm at Keepall purse piece right now, I think, unless some really cool design comes out. And I will say that that gradient purple is beautiful, but I believe it's a 55 and that is just too big for me. So that's what's keeping me away from that one, and it's a good thing. The YSL Mini Lou camera bag. I do regret that one a little bit because it was different. It was my only YSL bag. And I think if it didn't smell from the glue that they used, I don't know that I would have sold that. I think I would have still held on to it because that bag was definitely a little more elevated and elegant in my opinion too. So I did really love that one, and I think I would have liked to have that still in my collection for some of those situations where you need an elevated bag. You know, I always see my friend Iris, Luxe Lover. I will link her below if you guys have not checked her out, but you know, she always shows a lot of her YSL bags and it makes me miss that one. So we'll see. I have thought about, if I go to Europe, potentially looking at that again and picking it up, but we'll see what happens. I don't know. Well, guys, I would love to hear if you have sold any of your bags in 2025 and if you regret it or not. I also want to hear what you think about the bags that I decided to let go in 2025 and if you think I made the right decision. So let me know in the comments below. I'm really curious as to what you think. I also want to mention that on Saturday, I will be part of a really fun collab with some wonderful creators where we are going to show all of the luxury bags that we have purchased in 2025. And filming that video took so long, so I hope you guys are excited. There's going to be some great collections for you guys to see, so keep your eye out for that. All right, guys, remember, no matter what, there's always room for just one more bag. I'll see you soon. Bye.